How's it going, everyone? So, Hillary Clinton decided to come back into the political arena recently in the United States, to basically just insult Bernie Sanders with no merit at all, and decided to attack um, his record and his political career with no substantial evidence to really back it up. Now, Clinton has been pretty much irrelevant ever since 2016 happened. The fact that she lost to Donald Trump kind of just shows how much of a political loser she is. But I guess what she was saying, what she had told in this documentary that nobody probably would have watched is that she said that Bernie Sanders is someone who was in Congress for years. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work with him. He got nothing done. Um, she also says that he was a career politician. It's all just baloney, and I feel so bad that people got sucked into it. Now, the problem with a lot of these claims by Hillary Clinton is that the fact that Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in the United States. If you look at polling numbers, he is the most popular Democrat and just the most popular general politician in America. Now, the reasons for why he's so popular is probably because he's actually like like a genuine person that wants to help advance society and actually advance the American people into a better life. I mean, he wants to instigate better Medicare for all, the public healthcare system, while also putting into effect getting our troops away, getting our military away from overseas and bringing them back home, investing in our infrastructure, investing in climate change infrastructure, and investing in jobs for that type of Green New Deal policy that he has. Now, that um, this idea that this idea that everybody likes him is because of this reason, because he gets things done. And people realize that this is a person that's going to be looking out for my interests and not the interests of the military industrial complex, nor the interests of the insurance companies or the pharmaceutical companies in America. Now, with this, I guess, yeah, so with this, there's also the fact that Clinton talks about how he was a career politician. Thing is about Bernie Sanders and this idea of him being a career politician is pretty ridiculous. Just because nobody in Washington actually likes Bernie Sanders, and I'm not talking about like the general public. I'm talking about the politicians in Capitol Hill and Congress and the Senate. I'm talking about like nobody likes working with him. There's been reports stating that he is seen as a bit of an outsider. He was an independent for most of his political career, mainly because the Democrats and the Republicans are basically there's not much difference between them. I mean, the Democrats are just a neoliberal organization now. They're no longer left; they're more just center right. While the Republicans are just a bunch of fundamentalist Christians that just want to give more money to the industrial military complex while um, feeling comfortable with full scale invasion of countries around the globe. Now, I guess the Democrats also do that type of foreign policy where they intervene in countries around the globe and um, topple governments, but they don't do full scale invasions like the Republicans do. They usually just use drone strikes, so I guess that's a bit of a caveat for the Democrats, but they're not much different to the Republicans in that regard. But the Democrats are mostly just a corporate wing for a lot of corporations in America, while the Republicans are just a bigger and badder version of the Democrats and just a lot more conservative and a lot more willing to roll back protections for minorities in America, such as exemplified by like the abortion bill in Alabama, like last year, which just rolled back abortion rights for women in Alabama and basically stopped them from being able to get an abortion in that state. Now, I guess yeah, this idea that he's a career politician. I mean, he doesn't get along with anyone in Capitol Hill because his ideological positions just don't match with anyone else. His ideas are quote unquote revolutionary, but they're just socially democratic and they're basically any Labour Party in any country in the world's ideology, pretty much. But because that ideology no longer exists in America, it's seen as a radical ideology. But that's why he doesn't get along with anyone in Capitol Hill because people just don't like working with him because he actually just he doesn't work with corporate donors and lobbyists and stuff like that. He actually works for the general public, and um, this idea because he works for the general public, politicians in Capitol Hill in America just don't want to work with him because they don't. He's not willing to kowtow to corporate donors and fold the pot and kowtow to the Democratic to the party line. Now, I guess with Hillary saying this, this probably is the most hypocritical thing she's ever said. I mean, she was the first lady to Bill Clinton in Bill Clinton's administration back in the 90s. She was a senator for years on end. And there's the fact that she's flip flopped on so many political issues that you can't even count. But like, and the reason why is because she used to be for Medicare for all, for example. She used to be for public health care, universal health care. But once she, got the donors of insurance companies and um, pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that, she's like, you know what? Let's just keep our insurance system the way it is. Just because of the fact my donors, right? They told me, that's a really good idea. We should just keep the system the way it is because I'm getting a lot of money from my donors and I don't really want to anger them. So I'm just kind of not rock the boat and just follow the instructions that my donors gave me. So because of that reason, um, Hillary, this is probably the most hypocritical thing Hillary has said, trying to smear Bernie Sanders as some sort of career politician. Um, I guess another thing she said was basically this idea that this idea that Bernie Sanders said she was unqualified. I guess I don't know if he ever actually said that, but to be honest, she is unqualified to be the president. Like, if you saw like in the lead up to the 2016 election, there were so many political scandals of Hillary Clinton. There's the fact that she made speeches to Goldman Sachs executives before like the election and got paid for it. There's the fact that she had those emails that revealed that she was some sort of corrupt. She was just basically a corrupt politician receiving money through her Clinton Foundation from Saudi Arabian oligarchs and other corporate entities within America. And there's also the fact that her foreign policy in the lead up to election was just horrendous. This idea, she had the idea of putting like a no-flying zone in Syria when she would get into the presidency. Like that's absolutely crazy. Like this idea that you're gonna put a no-flying zone where Russia needs to put their planes in Syria is just ludicrous and could just lead to a conflict with Russia. Now, obviously, Trump hasn't done any better because we don't have to get into that. You would have known about Syria and Iran already, but there's also the fact that because of those reasons, she's just unqualified, and she didn't promise any change into the system. All she offered was identity politics. All she offered was like, oh, vote for me because I'll be the first woman president. Like, no one gives a fuck that you're going to be the first woman president. People want actual change. People, like 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 50% of Americans earn $30,000 a year or less. Freaking, you got cases of bloody hookworm and cholera in like Alabama and like in the southern United States. You've got cases of like South Michigan not having clean drinking water for God's sakes. And all we're offering is this idea that, oh, I'm going to be the first woman president, but I'm not actually going to offer any substantive policies to combat the problem. While your opponent Trump obviously had like this idea of, okay, we're gonna stop the trade, the offshoring of jobs, we're gonna stop the wars, we're gonna bring back our troops home, we're gonna invest more in our infrastructure, we're gonna invest in our working people and stop offshoring jobs. And I think even Trump was in favor of Medicare for all during the election. Obviously, he hasn't done any of these, and obviously he's just become a corporate hack for the Republican Party. But when during the election, people see what your positions are, and people just realize at least Trump's offering something on the table, and we'll just roll the dice on that guy. Hillary just offered nothing. I mean, like she said, "Oh, we don't need to make America great again because America is already great," and that was during her debates, and it's just like America's not fucking great for the working people who have to live paycheck to paycheck just to freaking survive and have to work like 60-hour weeks just to freaking get food on the table. Like, but anyway, yeah. So she was unqualified for the presidency back in 2016. So this idea that she's calling that she was that she's pissed off that Bernie apparently said that is unwarranted because it's just a fact. It's just a fact of the matter, dude. So like, you can't really be sad about that fact. And you lost to Donald Trump. Like, you're no longer politically relevant. How can you lose to a buffoon like Trump? He said so many dumb things. Like he said, like when he was talking about Mexicans at the border, he was talking about how, oh, they're bringing in drugs, they're bringing in rapists, they're bringing in murderers, stuff like that. But I assume some are good people. Like that is probably the most racist thing he's ever said during the campaign, and yet all your campaign focused on was, oh, let's just focus on the identity politics. Let's just focus on Hillary being the first Hillary being the first woman president. Let's just focus on me, and let's stop focus on any issues at all. Or the fact that Trump made so many ridiculous claims during the election, like we have to kill the families of terrorists. He was advocating for like killing the civilians, or killing civilians overseas. For God's sakes, you couldn't campaign on that at all. You had to campaign on identity politics. Anyway, I guess with this with this idea of attacking Bernie Sanders, this probably won't hurt Bernie Sanders too much. Um, well, because Bernie is how do I say this? Bernie's just a more genuine person. I think people see through Hillary and see through, oh, you're just doing this just to weaken his chances at Iowa, and it's so obvious. Um, but I guess yeah. So Bernie's response was like, um, what did he say? Yeah, he said, "Oh, my wife doesn't like me much either," because he was making it just as a joke. I think he could have been a bit more aggressive. I think it's better for him to just be hands off and just let people realize that and not really respond to it at all because like people just see through it. People know that Hillary Clinton's no longer relevant and she's just a complete dud when it comes to American politics. So um, she's just so yeah. I mean, I don't think this will affect him too much, but she's just she's probably one of the most corrupt politicians in American politics. she's flip flopped on gay marriage. She's flip flopped on freaking single payer healthcare. She voted for like she supported deregulation of Wall Street, like the weakening of Dodd Frank, for example. Not Dodd Frank. The fuck, I forgot the name of the policy, but it was during the '90s. Bill Clinton weakened it, and she supported it. This was deregulation of Wall Street, which also um, led to the path of the subprime mortgage crisis in 2007, and then led to the you know um, financial crisis of 2008, which led to the recession, of course. So um, with this, I guess I guess Hillary's just trying to be more relevant in the media these days, but like nobody cares, and nobody cares that what you say anymore, and um, nobody cares about your opinion anymore. Like you're probably like the you're probably like the most corrupt politician. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants to see you anymore. Just step aside and let the big boys like Bernie actually do put some change into the country and actually put some positive change while you think about how you could have maybe not been such a corrupt politician back in your early days when you had the actual chance to actually instigate some change into the system. There's also the fact that she said that he hasn't done anything. Man, I guess the thing is Bernie Sanders has the nickname in Capitol Hill of being the Amendment King. Any bill you have, he will amend it to ensure that it is in the interests of the general public. So even like a lot of these are just lies, and like with that nickname, it's so obvious that Bernie has got a larger track record of being in support of the American people and trying his best to pass legislation that will help the most vulnerable in America as well. So just step aside. No one cares anymore. No one cares about you. Just get out of here and maybe just retire and wait for Bernie to actually win the election and show you what true leadership is like.